In this tutorial, we will learn how to create a DoD of a rack assembly without the need of any type of automation or scripting. You'll see how to create different design variables, responses, and finally some post-processing. Once you finish setting up your model and solving it to verify your solution, you can start to create your study. So for this, let's first hide our results. And before starting, let's check out our assembly right here. We can quickly see our disk, different bolts, and our knuckle. For the assembly, we also created 4 different RBEs. One for our disk, and the other 3 for our knuckles. On each of our RBEs here, we set out different constraints. For the RBEs created from the knuckles, we have fixed them in space. For the RBE of our disk is where we are going to apply our load, specifically a moment. We also have our contacts created, we can review them right here, between all of our different bodies. So now we can create our study. For this, we need to parameterize the values we want to create our study with. In this specific case, first, we want to parameterize our moment value here. So for this, let's open our load and then select the value we want to parameterize, right-click, create parameter. Here we can give it first the name, and we can also change the default value for that specific parameter. So here we can change it, for example, to 6,000 Newton meters. We can see now that the value changed to the specific parameter just created. Another parameter we can also set out in this case is on our materials. So first, let's check the materials assigned to our assembly here. Most of them were assigned steel. Just the disc and the wheel flange were assigned gray cast iron and aluminum. For this specific model, we are highly interested on the knuckle and its behavior depending on which steel to use. So for this, let's go to our property browser. Let's open up our steel material. And let's parameterize our Young modulus. So let's select our value here, right click, create parameter, and write out name. So now that we created all the different parameters with which we want to create our study, we need just to define the response to which we want to verify the different runs. So for this, let's go to our solution browser right here, right click on results, response, and in this particular case, we want to verify and check the maximum stress on our knuckle. So let's change to selected entities, select our knuckle. As value, we're going to define our maximum stress and create. Now we have all the different parameter and responses needed for our study. So in our solution browser, under DOE, using solution, we can quickly create our DOE. Here under solution, if you have multiple solutions created, you can select the specific one for your study. This will open up a new ribbon. Here, we need to first define which design variables we want to create our study with. So let's open up our tool right here. And in this particular table, we'll have different options. First is if we want to use the specific parameter in our DOE, so we can enable and disable our variables. Which type of mode, if there are discrete values or continuous. If you select continuous, you can set the amount of levels you want for the specific parameter. In this particular case, we're going to use discrete. And finally, which values you give out. Here, you can manually select all the different values. So let me erase the ones created before. And let's give out the values we're interested in. Let's set 6,000 newtons meter and 12,000 newtons meter. Okay. Let's do the same thing for the Young modulus. Here, let's leave our default one of 200 gigapascals and set another one of 180 gigapascals. Once you finish defining your design variables, you can now create your table of experiment. So let's select our tool right here. SimLab already creates a full factorial table based on your parameters. But you can also edit them manually. So you can set other values if needed. For example, 1600 Newton meters. You can also erase different combinations and so on. Once we finish defining our design variables and experiments, let's first save our database. And now we can simply right-click on results and update. We can see it started calculating our solution. So we can again right-click on results, display, and here we'll get a new table of all of our different combinations here. We'll see the status of the run and the specific maximum stress for each of our runs. For each run, you can see the status if it was able to run it and its respective response value. In this case, our maximum stress for each of our experiments. We can also visualize the effect between our parameter and the response. So for example, between our moment and our stress. Here we can quickly plot out the effect of the moment to our stress on the knuckle. If some specific post-processing needs to be done or wants to visualize for each of our runs or specific runs, you can simply select the runs of interest and open the database. We do not recommend opening too many databases at the same time. And here we can now quickly see the results for each of our different runs on different windows.